Okay, now we want to build this query on the fly so that when it changes, it's going to pull in new data from SQL Server and actually build a dashboard. So far, we've done nothing on our canvas up here, but let's actually just do something on our canvas for example's sake. So we can pull in a column chart. So we want to compare the different categories of sales tax collections to one another for different periods of time. So we'll say, look at the data here, and here's our data that's going to come in. We've got our field names, all these different things that you can't really see. A little wider, there you go, food and beverage, general merchandise, apparel, automotive. And let's set up our data's in rows, and we'll go ahead and say that this is our data. And it went ahead and captured, it knew that the names were there, and it went ahead and captured the names in there. So we've got that. For appearance sake, I always like to get rid of the chart background because I think it's ugly. And we've got it going this way. Now for a chart like this, you may want to have it as a vertical, as a bar chart going to the right rather than a column chart going up because the names are so long, or change the naming conventions along the bottom. But leave that there, do a little bit of formatting. Vertical axis labels, make them dollars, and make it a little bit wider. Maybe make our series a little bit wider as well. Kind of a good looking thing like that. We should name our chart. We can call this sales tax collections, and we'll eventually bind this to something, but we won't do it yet. We want it to be specific for the time and county that it belongs. So this data is pulling from our data grid right here. As you can see, the food and beverage industry for this county is 538,000, and so you can see up here about 538,000. And we could set up some data labels if we want. They default to off, but we can put them on so you can see the data value. And we'll make this good enough. So there we go, formatted appropriately. So now we want to make sure that the data here is actually coming in live from SQL Server. To do this, we need to set up what our parameter criteria really is. So in this case, we have Allegheny, county number 2, and year 2001. So we really need a couple of lists that will show us what options we can build into here. And first we want to start with the parts of this that are actually static, and then we're going to concatenate it all together into a useful string. So up to the where clause, we have a static set of text, right? So then we end up with some parameters. We have where year equals 2001, or year equals blank, num month equals blank, and county equals blank. So if we take the parts that are going to be consistent and pop them in line, and the variables and call them such, we'll be in better shape. Here we go. So here, if we concatenate this together, plus variables, we'll be in business. So let's actually call these our 3 variable fields. So we're going to populate these guys with appropriate things. Now, year could be any number of years. Say this goes back till 1990 or to 2000 or something. So here we have all of our possible years. Great, and we're going to use this as a list to populate this. Month goes 1 through 12. And county, if you can't remember what they are, go back to SQL Server change your query, just get rid of the county field, execute. These are all your counties or jurisdictions. There's 24 of them. Copy those guys and drop them right in here. So there we go. Here are 3 lists from which we can pull. For the year field, we're going to use some sort of a selector to select it. Why don't we use a combo box? And we're going to use a labels. We're going to use, you check the drop down, we're going to use a label style. We're going to select our possible labels. We're going to go to destination, and we're going to pick this red box as our destination. Whatever's in here will go there. Go to behavior. We like dynamic. We want to say label 1 is selected. So in this case, we are going to say that label, we'll start with current year, so label 12 is selected, 2011. Now we're going to add another combo box for the month. So we can actually label this combo box if we want. Back in general, you could say year. And then here we're going to pick month. And here we pick all the month options, 1 through 12. And again, the label style and the destination being here, and num month equals. The behavior being dynamic, and label 1, so we're starting with January. And here, if you want these to be aligned correctly, you can do this align bottom, and they'll both align to the bottom of each of the features. And finally, we can select our county of choice by adding another combo box. Picking from our list. It's a good idea to pull this list directly from SQL Server, because then you know that the namings are all done exactly the same. If you start typing them in and you don't check that out, you could get in trouble. Now, recall though that this data was all supposed to have single quotes around it when it goes into your query, right? When you concatenate it. We'll have to do some trickery to make that happen. Go back to behavior, again to dynamic, label number 1, and we'll say Baltimore City. We'll say we want to pick something more close to home. Go to label number 24 and pick Worcester County. And we'll call this county.